Hello, we're back on NFL Live. Caleb Williams and the other Bears starters are going to play in the Sunday preseason game. Our first chance to see him in this Ben Johnson offense. Obviously, they're not going to show too much because it's preseason, but still, we should get a little idea of what it's going to look like. So, Hawk, what are you hoping to see from Williams in our first look at him with Johnson calling plays?
I want to see him play within structure. I mean, that's the big thing about Caleb Williams. We know he has talent. We know he can throw the ball a quarter mile. We know he's agile enough. We know we've seen him make all the off-script plays through college. But when you're at the professional ranks, when you're in the NFL, you have to play with purpose. And that's what you want to see from Caleb Williams in this preseason game. Not to the full extent, but at least make advances from what we saw a year ago. When you are in the NFL, every movement, every step, every which way you look is for a reason. And when you can see him play, you see he's still relying too much on his natural ability. The hope is that with the new coach, new offensive system, now he starts to put some of those things in place.
Yeah, Hawk, I think it's relative to what we talked about with Josh Allen. And before the dummies think I'm comparing Caleb Williams and Josh Allen, I'm
Don't
not.
be a dummy.
Okay, but Joe Brady had a clear, concise plan of how he wanted to usher in this new version of Josh Allen and put him in favorable situations instead of playing, to your point, Hawk, like Superman all the time, even though he did it at a very much higher level than most people could do. This is Ben Johnson's task for Caleb Williams, is to confine him but not limit his ability and find ways in order to make this dude as dangerous playing in structure as he would be making those off-script, off-schedule plays. And when you think about young quarterbacks, I remember Dan talked about this a few years ago with Mahomes. For as good as Mahomes was playing and going to Super Bowls and winning them, he was like, there's room for Pat to be a more of a pocket guy and stay a little bit more steady and deliver the football from those normal spots. And then Pat acknowledged that. So again, I think coaches do well in the way with guys like this, especially in order to wrangle them in, but not take away what they do at a very high level. And hopefully Caleb can grasp what Ben Johnson is trying to get him to do and then become that more efficient passer and quarterback like you mentioned, Hawk.
Yeah, it's worth just remembering that we should all pump the brakes a little bit on how good this may look right away, because it may be a little bumpy. I mean, this Ben Johnson offense is complicated, right, Graz? What have you heard about the dynamic between Johnson and Williams so far in camp?
Sounds like from everything we've been told, Ben Johnson is coaching Caleb Williams hard, coaching the entire team hard. You know, very demanding and precise in practice. If you make a mistake, we're going to do it again, you know, until you get it right. I think they want to see how much he can take and then sort of dial back as the season comes closer and say, we'll build the offense around what he does well, what he feels comfortable in. So, all that said, it could look bad this weekend, right? If he's at a point where they're pushing him beyond where he's comfortable, like this is an extension of the practice he's getting that is not televised. And so putting him out there, you know, it does run the risk of people saying, oh, is this not the guy? So what Ben Johnson said yesterday was the reason the starters are playing this week is because they have a certain rep count they want them to get to every week. And this week's schedule requires the game to be part of that. Last week's didn't. So if you take him at his word, that's just sort of an extension of practice, and we'll see how it all goes. But yes, they are, I think, very deliberate in the way they're bringing Caleb Williams along. They don't want to rush it. They want to make sure it's done right, and I think they see it as a project that is in progress.
Yeah, the Bears, by the way, have the 5th hardest schedule in the NFL, according to ESPN Analytics, so that's not super helpful either. But keep an eye.
Welcome to head coaching, Ben Johnson.
Right. Have fun. Maybe it'll be great. Drake May struggled when targeting wide receivers last season. Let's talk a little bit more about him as we look for another jump from another quarterback. He ranked last in pass yards per game when throwing to them and averaged the 4th fewest yards per attempt. He also ranked toward the bottom of the league in QBR and touchdown interception ratio. The Patriots got wide receiver help this offseason by adding Stephon Diggs and Matt Collins, as well as drafting Kyle Williams. Diggs is working his way back from injury, and head coach Mike Vrabel had a Belichick-like back and forth with a reporter about him moments ago. Take a listen.
Oh, he's not sure about his readiness for week 1.
Did you really believe that, Phil? I mean, you're a smart guy. I don't know where you went to school. It wasn't Ohio State, but, like, do you really believe that? Do you really believe that, Phil, or are you just trying to bait me into something?
I'm not baiting you.
Okay.
Anything. He did say he wasn't sure he'd be ready for week 1. Is there any doubt in your mind?
I don't know the context in which he said it, but you'd have to help me. I mean, he's been out here almost every day. I'm excited to where he's at, and we'll see when week 1 comes. But he's going to practice today. Hopefully, he helps us in the red zone. But we can't predict the future about week 1. I just know he's going to be out there today, and he works hard and he cares, which are 2 important things.
Ooh, even there's a little Ohio State dig in there too. I like that. Okay, spicy Braves. Graz, what have you heard about where Diggs is in his recovery from this torn ACL?
Everything I've heard, Laura, has been positive throughout camp. He's been there. He's been practicing with the team. I think the expectation is that he's going to be okay. So to Mike Vrabel's point, I guess we'd have to hear the context in which he said it, see what the look on his face was when he said it. But it sounds like maybe he's trying to tamp down expectations, or maybe he's having a little fun with it. But I haven't heard anything out of New England throughout training camp that indicates concern over Stefon Diggs' readiness. And based on Mike Vrabel's reaction to the questioning there, it seems like, he really hasn't either.
I agree. Interesting. Okay, Hawk, if Diggs is healthy, what could that potentially do for a young quarterback like May?
Yeah, it takes a lot of the pressure off of him. Not completely, because he's still the quarterback and he has to make decisions and throws and run an offense, but it's very similar to what Stefon Diggs did for Josh Allen. Early in Josh Allen's career, we saw the talent. It was kind of unseasoned. It was, not fully developed or shaped. And when Diggs got there, it took pressure off him to say, okay, worst come to worst, 50-50 chance of just one-on-one against that guy. Now, the question is, where is Stefon Diggs in his career? The clips that I've seen, him doing one-on-ones, him in camp, look to be the same Stefon Diggs. And for a Drake May, it does relieve some of that stress and pressure when he's running the offense to say, if it's one-on-one, I trust Diggs against this guy. And in that version of it, it allows him to say, pull this in case of emergency, relieve some of that pressure.
Boogie, if I told you the one thing that teams need to do to help their quarterback, what would I say?
Run the ball. Or you might say run the
Period.
dang ball.
Damn ball.
Thank you.
Listen, this is first of all, this is Mike Vrabel, okay, who spent a lot of time having a lot of success with Derrick Henry in the backfield. This is the same guy. This is the same team that drafted who I think is going to be a phenomenal running back in splitting time in the backfield, the back from Ohio State, who he mentioned. And you have to think with a second-year quarterback, Josh McDaniels, reestablishing the quote-unquote Patriot way, maybe not how they go about business, but how they play football, that Drake May's best friend is going to be able to turn around and hand the football off. And I know it's boring because people always say swag is boring when you want to just run. No, it's not about that. It's about a comfort level. And when you look at this team and you think about their defensive-minded head coach who came from an era where they don't get enough credit for how good they were when they were winning Super Bowls with the New England Patriots, I think it's going to have a great understanding with Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator, to make sure that that's a big part of Drake May's progression. And then when those opportunities present itself for him to push it down the field, one of the things people talked about when he was coming out of North Carolina, his athletic ability, maybe some quarterback run, maybe some RPO, maybe some zone read. That is how you progress this young quarterback. But I think with Vrabel's mentality, along with Josh McDaniel and what they want to establish at the line of scrimmage, they're going to run the damn football and help Drake May get better.
I think you're exactly right, Marcus. I think it all fits together, right? Because when a defense says, hey, we're going to take away this run, do you have somebody on the outside that they're going to match up one-on-one and still win? And that's where Stefon Diggs comes into that equation. You got to have it all. It's like an agent that knows business and has also been an athlete himself, right? Like those are important things that you need to work together. And something that I think you got to make sure you're always thinking about, Swagger.
Saw what you did there.
It just all comes together.
Hawk, put that beard in, man. I got you, dog. I got you.
Laying it on thick.
Also,
go ahead, Graz.
One quick point. TreVeyon Henderson is not boring. If they run it with him, they don't have to worry about being boring.
Not boring.
Just saying.
I love that. No,
not boring.
That's very good.
And returning kicks.
Yeah, I'm glad
Phenomenal.
you brought up, too, the athleticism of Drake May, Swag, because I think people forget about that. This guy has so much to his game that probably hasn't even been unlocked yet. We saw some of it last season. I bet we see a lot more this year. All right, coming up, Cam Ward believes the Titans offense can become a top 10 unit in the NFL. Just how realistic is that? Hawk says this team's fate rides on the rookie's shoulders. He'll explain.